Today we're going to be comparing the iPhone 14 versus the Samsung Flip 4. Alright, let's do a quick microphone test. Testing 1 2 1 2. This is what it sounds like on an iPhone 14. Testing 1 2 1 2. This is what it sounds like on a Galaxy Z Flip 4. Out of the two phones, the Flip is just more fun to use. Right now I'm shooting in clamshell mode because it's just more discreet and I just feel more comfortable vlogging this way. The only downside shooting video like this is it's maxed out at 1080p. Versus vlogging on an iPhone like this with the back camera, whoever's walking towards me right now can see the screen vlogging or recording myself, so it's a little bit awkward. But anyways, shooting with the Flip, it takes less time. I can just place it down without needing a tripod because setting that up and putting the phone clamp on can sometimes take too much effort just for a basic shot. So with the Flip, put it down, bend it a little bit and angle it to see yourself. That's just the best thing about it. And also having that cover screen is very crucial because I can see myself without needing to guess, because right now I am using the ultra wide and I know I'm in frame, but if I switch to the wide, I know some way or somehow I'm going to be out of frame or some part of me will be out of frame. Today I got some errands to run, so I might as well be outside and shoot a camera comparison at the same time, and I might find a place somewhere to eat. Going over the ultra wide and wide, the main differences that I saw was white balancing, the colors, and the HDR. Of course, the colors, it depends on what you like and the taste, but for the most part, the Flip or the Samsung does have that more contrastier and saturated look. And it seems like HDR, for the most part, seems to be better on the Flip 4. Just looking at the shadows, you can see just a bit more. For white balancing, the iPhone does have a nice warmth coming from the sun, so if you do want that look, then naturally it will be in the footage. On a Samsung, a lot of times it does white balance correctly for what's white, and it could be a good or bad thing. So sometimes during nighttime when you're under tungsten light, it looks a bit too blue or it just looks normal, whereas on iPhone it would naturally represent what it looks like from the eye. For ultra wide, the cameras weren't upgraded, so they should look the same from last gens, but comparing from these two, I do like the Flip a bit better just because of the color and I can see more in the shadows. Both of these phones had an upgrade with the wide angle lens, which basically it's a bigger sensor, which means that it should perform better in low light from last gen's phone. When you're out in the city, they both look great and I don't see much of a difference, but when you move inside in darker areas, this is where you can see a difference between the two. The iPhone does look much cleaner and less noise, but if you shoot in night mode, they both become much better, but the iPhone definitely has this greenish hue to it, whereas on a Galaxy, it has like a purplish hue. Next up is the new action mode. Both actually has this sort of mode where it's super stabilized, and on an iPhone, definitely wins. It's higher quality, it's more smoother, and HDR definitely looks better. Next up is the cinematic and video portrait. Again, iPhone wins in this section. It can shoot up to 4K 30 versus the Flip, it's up to 1080p. And looking at my glasses, although not perfect, it's a bit smoother, where on the Flip it's just jittery. And one of the biggest pros on the cinematic mode is it can work without using a human subject, so basically anything you want to shoot. Next up is the camera experience. On iPhone, very simple, swipe left and right. And for zoom options, you only get ultra wide and 1x, or you can just zoom in using your thumb. On a Galaxy, I do like how there's more stepping stones to zoom all the way up to 10x. Now moving on to zooming in, since both of these phones don't have a telephoto lens, 5x on both of these phones, definitely the iPhone wins. It's much cleaner and it looks less digitized, but on the Flip, you can zoom all the way up to 10x. So I feel like it depends on which one you like, if you want to have a cleaner 5x or if you want more zoom. Next up is taking selfies, and now that the iPhone has autofocus, here's the bad thing, you can be out of focus. The chances of that are pretty low, but I do like the colors on the iPhone. It's more vibrant and a bit more realistic, whereas on a Flip, it feels like there's some sort of faded filter on there. Now for darker areas, it seems like the Flip is just a bit more sharper and just cleaner. Selfies under portrait mode, I feel like the Flip is more consistent with the colors, whereas on iPhone, the white balancing can be on and off depending if you're under the sun or in the shade. But both are not perfect, they do have some sort of issues here and there in these little spots. Moving on to the back cameras, I do like the iPhones much better. The HDR definitely is much better. I can see myself more in the shadows, more of my face. The colors seems to be a bit more on the saturated side and more correct in terms of the white, whereas on this picture, the white looks too blue on the Flip. Next up is Instagram, and obviously iPhone wins in this section. When you're saving the video, it's very pixelated in the first few seconds of the clip. And when you're zooming in and out, the Flip seems to be too fast where I can't control it and less accurate to where I want it to stop. And if you're shooting with the front facing camera, it looks like the iPhone is shot in 4K, whereas on the flip it's like 720. So video, iPhone is much better. For the pictures, I would say the color seems to be more accurate on the iPhone and less of the fringing. And I do like the natural background blur. It looks like the iPhone sensor is just much bigger than the flips. So if you're just using the Instagram camera app, it's just hard to beat the iPhone. In the end, they both look really good. It depends on what you like and what colors you like. But in terms of creating videos of yourself and just placing it down to grab a quick shot, the flip wins in that section hands down. But for other things like cinematic mode, action mode, and even the Instagram app, iPhone wins in that category. So let me know which one you like better and which one you prefer. If you want to see if it's worth upgrading from the 13 to the 14, I also did a camera comparison of that too, so go ahead and check that one out.